Welcome to the Doom Scroll News Report here on Radio Taiwan International, where I, Amanda Stevens, and my co-host,
Anna Belinsky,
two writers, political by necessity, cover some of the biggest international news stories dominating our feeds from the last week. I'm Amanda Stevens, and this week we're tackling Screwworm in the U.S.
Yuck.
The Iran war again.
Also yuck.
And there's also like a little bit of early MOU guessing in here.
Yeah.
Because we have to record early this week. So
Yes.
we just can guess. And then we're going to wrap up with some fun interactions, taking over my feed of World Cup travelers discovering a new love for their host cities, which has become my dogs reuniting with their owners who've been gone for a long time. Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
This has become that for me. On that line, though, as someone who lives in two countries, what is the most surprising thing you've talked to visitors about in the U.S., by which I mean visitors to the United States?
Okay, so obviously my sample size is skewed toward Taiwanese people because, like, mostly it's like my family. So the thing that my family has always loved is the sheer variety of things that you can buy at the store.
It's just pretty true.
I mean,
yeah.
People love Trader Joe's. Like, you see people bring those totes around out here, and it's like, with great pride,
It's
I have
like designer.
been to Trader Joe's. Yes, it shows that not only can you afford to travel to the U.S., but you can afford to do a bit of shopping.
This is kind of the tone for like what that final one is going to be like, and finding weird fun things. And speaking of fun things, I'm going to talk about the opposite.
Ew.
We called it Screwworm.
Yeah.
Americas. I hate this thing, but
Who
before,
could possibly love this thing?
literally the first video that I ever watched about this went really hard against screwworms, and I'm on their side. They said, quote, "It literally does nothing good for the world," end quote.
That's horrible.
But before this last month or so, Hannah, how much did you know about the humble, disgusting screwworm?
Well, you know, I have learned more than I would have liked.
That's literally learning anything about it.
You know, recent developments. Because, of course, I wanted to know, first thing on my list I wanted to know was, can this affect me?
Yes.
Can this affect me? You know, the answer to that is thankfully no, I don't think so.
Yes and no. Like, it can, but it's uncommon.
Yes, but it can affect my hypothetical pets. But, well, anyway, I'll let you get into it. But yes, I know more than I would like to about this thing.
I will put a little warning here to listeners that this is a parasite that lays eggs in and eats living hosts. So if that's too much for you, skip ahead like 5 minutes. I wish we could too.
Me too.
So screwworm is the name for an awful little parasitic fly, which is unfortunately native to the Americas, both of them. The way they reproduce is by laying eggs in open wounds or orifices of living animals, which a female fly can do multiple times in her life.
Nasty.
The worms, or larvae that hatch, then eat the flesh of their host animal, causing more serious wounds which can potentially attract more flies. The result often kills the host if untreated, or at least leaves them in a really bad shape.
Yeah.
These awful little things can also travel up to 12 miles, and they are very good at discovering even small wounds on potential hosts. North America, though, has been largely screwworm-free since the 1960s because of an incredible show of international cooperation and effort to sterilize the flies. Scientists realized that although flies can lay eggs multiple times, they only mate once. So they bred a whole bunch of sterile flies, released them across North America, and basically let the flies breed themselves out of existence.
Smart.
Woohoo! The flies were able to be driven down to South America, where the Amazon rainforest and political tensions made it too difficult to continue this effort. And Mexico and the U.S. made a deal with Panama, with its position as the narrowest country in Central America, to basically hold the line against these pests, with funding from the U.S. and Mexico.
Basically like an actual bottleneck.
Yeah, that's literally it. You can think of it like a big gate, right? The worms have breached containment 3 times before, but rapid coordinated responses managed to stamp them out each time. Thank goodness. Now, though, they are back, and they have made it all the way up to Texas and New Mexico as of 2 weeks ago by the time this is published.
It's on your doorstep.
The biggest problem is we don't actually know how they broke the line, so to speak. And although the screwworm sterilizing process is very streamlined and efficient, there's just not enough infrastructure across Mexico, Central America, and the USA to stop the spread at its current rate, because we basically were able to downsize to just one worm factory, which is a good way to think about it, which was already running 24/7, like to deal with this outbreak, which started in 2023.
Another day at work at the worm factory.
So we just don't have the infrastructure for it.
Right.
This spread began around 2023, and the finger pointing over who's to blame has only gotten worse as the worms got farther and farther. Right now, there are 3 to 4 leading causes that I've seen: organized crime, climate change, mass immigration, and large-scale defunding. To review them quickly, one theory is that illegal cattle trafficking by organized crime groups has unknowingly shuffled infected animals from South America past Panama and into Central America, skipping the Panama defenses altogether. CNN's Max Saltman makes a really compelling case for this, pointing out that cattle smuggling is a big issue in Central America and difficult to crack down on. The mass immigration theory is similar to this, but just kind of argues that it was immigrants who brought the animals rather than organized crime.
Not very nice.
Yeah. Other scientists, though, argue that climate change is partially responsible because the worms need a warm, humid environment and are already native to North America.
Right.
And now more parts of North America are the right temperature for longer periods of time, making it just more habitable for longer. There's also the argument that, at least in the USA, mass layoffs and reckless defunding neutered the organizations responsible for monitoring and stopping the spread of screwworm. Though, in my opinion, this likely isn't true for what happened in Central America because of the timeline of the spread. So, do you think that there's a main cause in this situation, or is it something in the middle? And moreover, how much does it matter who's to blame in this kind of situation?
I mean, it's probably a little of everything, right? But you really kind of nailed it at the end there, because I don't think it really matters who is exactly at fault. Although I am inclined to believe, at least on the U.S. side, stripping all those federal funds had to have something to do with it. That one last worm factory was the only thing holding the line right.
The one in Panama,
which
yeah.
I understand, because for a long time, this was stamped out. It was very much under control. So it
kind of like measles?
Yeah. So that's a whole other can of worms.
Sorry. The dunch.
Right?
We're trying to have fun, guys.
It makes sense, like, to downsize to one worm factory for maintenance
also
purposes.
Because for a long period of time, this was a very disgusting process. You needed, like,
you had to pick
rotting
them out.
meat.
Yeah.
Now we don't do that. We've made like a sludge. But
Ooh, slurry.
Yeah. But so it also was like, it made sense because people didn't want to do it.
Of course, it's nasty work.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, the same can be seen with, or something similar can be seen with Ebola right now, right? The funding goes away and suddenly the floodgates are open. You know, all the infrastructure and resources and the important supplies needed to contain something is cut, and what happens? You know, something that was in check is no longer in check. And with something like screwworm, the adage is really true that an ounce of prevention is worth a dose of cure, because it's only more costly, not just in terms of money, but in terms of lives lost, you know, cattle lost, to deal with, and animals, period, to deal with the disease outbreak than to keep it from happening.
Well, speaking of the cost, let me get into that, because unfortunately the worms are here now in Mexico and the United States and, of course, Central America. The question is how to stop it, and there are no quick solutions. Most experts are pushing to simply expand sterilization efforts, basically build more worm factories to expand those operations out past Panama. Research tells us that this is the most effective and long-lasting and least environmentally harmful solution.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it takes time first to build the factories, and then it takes months for the sterilization to cut back on the population, because you have to go through generations of flies to do it.
There's already a bunch of flies out there.
Right. The Texas Agriculture Commissioner has argued for bringing back SWAS, which is a pesticide and bait previously used on worms, but the USDA has so far refused because of the harmful chemicals and because the pesticide would also kill sterilized flies and slow down that response, which we know 100% is effective, and it's not carcinogenic. People have argued that Mexico needs to crack down on animal smuggling, which they've tried to do. But as we've covered with other topics on Mexico's cartel issues, it's not as easy as just stop the gangsters.
Sure.
Every clash has to be a very calculated risk.
Right.
The problem is compounded because one of the worm's other favorite hosts, besides cattle, is dogs. And there's a big stray animal problem in Mexico and Central America. And unlike livestock, there's no one actively on the lookout for screwworm in strays.
That's so sad.
Currently, the plan, at least in the U.S., is ramping up a new worm factory, kind of also getting an older worm factory up to date and kicking, with a focus on protecting the beef industry. It's going to cost over $1 billion.
Holy cow.
And even so, the worms will probably be here to stay at least for the summer because, again, we just don't have active infrastructure to fight them. Hannah, how much faith do you have that the United States and Mexico will be able to stamp out this pest again, given both countries' political state and many possible causes of the outbreak?
I think they're going to stamp it out. You know, they did it before.
This is like there are unifying factors out there, and I think parasitic worms are one of them.
I think there's no politics in this. Nobody wants to deal with this worm, and they have proven that they can get rid of it. They're going to do it again. It's just, like I said, it's a real shame it happened at all when it could have been avoided or at least mitigated more effectively sooner, and now a very steep price must be paid, and a very gross price at that.
Well, my plans to discuss literally anything else were destroyed when late Sunday, Trump announced Iran and the U.S. had agreed to a deal which would lower hostilities, open the Strait of Hormuz, and end the U.S. blockade. I'm picking my words carefully here.
Yeah.
To be clear, this was good news, and I was glad to hear it. I just wish I could talk about anything else on my time.
Sure. I'm sorry this has landed on you multiple times
Here
now.
we are. This is my lot. Oil prices dropped and stock markets soared as everyone crossed their fingers that this time the deal will take. Since its announcement on June 14th, the deal is now being called an MOU, or Memorandum of Understanding. An MOU is not legally enforceable, and the New York Times' David Sanger described it as basically an agreement to return to talking and not fighting, which is good.
Better than nothing.
And kind of look at this MOU as like a table of contents for other issues that they want to hash out down the line. What we know as of recording that has been agreed to is to extend the current ceasefire for another 60-day negotiation period, where they're going to discuss the fate of Iran's nuclear program.
I could have sworn something was done about this, before. Anyway.
Probably not. I don't know. I think you're hallucinating that. Many countries outside of the U.S. have even offered to lift sanctions on Iran pending the results of those negotiations, but it is yet to be seen if that will even be enough or how that will play out. They're also likely to discuss the fate of Lebanon and the fighting there. But as of recording, again, we don't have the exact wording yet, and Israel has said that they will not abide by it. More to come on that later, but since they weren't included in the negotiations, that isn't surprising. The MOU is set to be officially signed on Friday, June 19th in Switzerland, and we're recording this early, so here's hoping it all goes through, not just for my episode, but also for the sake of world politics.
No kidding.
Now, both sides are trying to sell the conflict as a win for them and not the other guy. J.D. Vance, Vice President J.D. Vance, has been the primary messenger on this in the United States, putting out videos on X, talking to everyone who he can, and even saying on Fox, quote, "I know this has been a hard time for a lot of Americans, but we have achieved something great for them," end quote. So, Hannah, what did this conflict achieve positively?
Well, I did see one headline in passing. Don't know if I can put much stock into it, but it looks like possibly, maybe, potentially, Trump might be throwing your boy, Pete Hegseth, under the bus for all this.
Oh, because, I would be overjoyed.
He's got to shift the blame somehow, right?
He can't take the fall.
Like I said, I don't know. if that is true, if that is just...
I've only seen memes about this.
Yeah, like, I don't actually know. We never know what he's going to do next. But I'm also grasping at straws here because I genuinely think only bad things came out of this whole kerfuffle with Iran. Like, I think this is, without exaggeration, one of the biggest international relations errors in American history, straight up. And it's not even because I dislike Trump. Of course, I don't like this administration.
That's a background thing, but yeah.
Objectively speaking, this is just on its face a stupid thing that they did that accomplished nothing and only hurts the United States.
I mean, a lot of analysis on this has sort of echoed what you've said, where a lot of people are left feeling like the only thing that was solved is a problem that Trump started himself.
Right.
And a lot of news articles are citing this as great news. If everything goes well, we might return to the way that things were. Yeah, we're longing for the long ago times of 6 months ago.
Jeez.
So I mentioned that oil prices fell. That's true. But just because the strait may open soon, which is like the biggest selling point of this MOU, doesn't mean that gas will get drastically cheaper. Many analysts are predicting we won't get back to pre-war prices before 2027. And for liquefied natural gas, or LNG, it's going to be an even longer wait. The Guardian's Jillian Ambrose, which is a great name.
Yeah, it is.
Laid out a few reasons. First of all being that they need to remove mines from the strait.
Oh, dear.
Before normal passage can be resumed. And that wouldn't be done until mid-July at the earliest. Even after the strait is open, traffic won't be at regular levels for some time, partially because it's been so disrupted that it will take time to untangle everyone and identify priorities. But also, it's in Iran's interest to ramp up slowly, so they have more bargaining power for a longer time.
Right.
Even so, most countries will want to replenish their stockpiles first, meaning prices would stay high anyway, as much of that demand is going to go into stockpiles before directly going into pumps.
Yeah.
It'll also take time to restart oil operations in affected countries. And in Qatar, they'll need to rebuild the LNG infrastructure, which was bombed during the conflict.
That stinks.
Put that together with a summer travel season, and the earliest we are looking at lower but not pre-war prices is the third quarter.
Yeah.
So not summer.
Bummer for me.
That's all assuming that everyone sticks to the MOU and that a more lasting deal is eventually struck at the end of those 60 days. Lots of ifs, ands, and buts.
No kidding.
Besides the energy market, which is expected to lag until next year, what other effects has the conflict had?
The decimation of American soft power.
Yeah.
Who is going to trust us again, man? Who is going to trust us again? Like,
who should trust us again?
Everyone was pulling away. Even Taiwan is kind of like, maybe we should cozy up to Europe a little bit more, because
lots of European talks recently. I
mean, why did this happen? It really makes sense to no one. Well, it makes sense to Netanyahu, but you'll get into that.
Yeah. So add to all of this that Israel's directly said they will not abide by the stipulations in the MOU.
Great.
Obviously, they wouldn't agree to it. Iran and Israel are basically at an impasse, with Iran refusing to sign a lasting ceasefire that doesn't include Lebanon, and Israel refusing to do that. So shortly after the deal was announced, Israeli defense minister said point blank that they're not withdrawing from Lebanon, Syria, or Gaza, where they are now expanding illegal settlements, by the way, and that they're going to stay there for, quote, an unlimited period of time, end quote, to protect their borders and pursue a clear agenda.
Now, what could that possibly mean?
What could that possibly mean? Hannah, how much of an impact do you think that Israel's blatant refusal to cooperate or even wind down in any way will have on this MOU actually happening or a future deal?
This is the real chaos factor now, I think, because, well, normally it's Trump, right? But I believe Trump has basically gotten bored of this whole problem that he created.
He's a short-term guy.
Yes, he is, but Bibi has a mind of his own, and clearly, he was able to manipulate Trump very successfully to get into this in the first place. So who's to say what he's going to do next? I really don't know. I do think, like I said, at the end of the day, Trump has tired of this, and he will not want to, he will probably do anything right now to keep it from going on until the midterms. But yeah, I really don't know. This is the big question.
All right, so let's get to FIFA in America. So FIFA has now officially started. There have been several games that have happened. I was going to look them up. I did not. I know Spain has lost to the smallest competitor. I think it's Cape Verde. And that was a huge upset. Nobody expected that to even be possible. But as I said, the thing that's really been dominating my newsfeed is teams' reactions and fans' reactions as they travel across America.
Yeah.
A lot of the conversation in my house has been between my boyfriend and I. His college town of Lawrence, Kansas is hosting the Algerian team. And that has kind of turned into like a two-sided love affair because it's a very small town, relatively speaking.
Yeah, it's just basically a college town.
It is a college town. And it was sort of like, on the surface, it was weird maybe that Algeria would stay and practice there.
Yeah.
Even though they do have a really big, like they're big into sports, but the whole town has sort of like embraced the Algerian team. They've all like overnight become Team Algeria fans. They welcomed them with a parade. The college played their national anthem when they went out to practice. The Algerian team had an open practice day where they invited kids to come in and learn how to play with professionals.
Cute.
It's been so heartwarming. Compare that to the Koreans in Mexico who seem to be having a blast.
It's very cute.
It's very sweet. So my only question to you in this, Hannah, is that you and I were a little bit doomer about this kind of whole event from the planning point of view.
We were, because it seemed like it was going to be completely catastrophic.
Well, and to be fair, there are still deep-seated issues, like the fact that it costs $98 to take a train to one of these matches when it's normally like a $13 train ticket. It's that big of a difference.
Jeez.
But now that it's actually begun, how do you feel that the event is comparing to our predictions and concerns? Are these feel-good interactions what it's really all about?
We keep mentioning we are recording early. The reason for that is I'm taking a trip back to the U.S.
Are you excited?
Soon. God, no. But I must say, like, leading up to the journey, which I'm only not looking forward to because I have to take a little
Travel
boy.
with a young child.
Yes. There are definitely a lot of things to still love about America.
Yeah.
And you brought up the German guys.
The German guy who
loving
love Waffle House.
You know, that's one thing that I can get behind because American diner culture. You don't really find that anywhere else. And I really enjoy
diner,
it.
like a greasy spoon.
Yes, I love like the pancakes as big as your plate.
I miss pancakes so much.
So
like with maple syrup and like crispy bacon.
The works. And so, I mean, I don't know much about sports. We have established this. But this sort of ability of sports to break down barriers.
Yeah.
It is really cute. And it is so funny to see America through the eyes of foreigners and see the charming parts of America anew.
Anyway, that's all that we have for today's news report. I'm Amanda Stevens, and I'll be sticking around.
She will, and I will be out for a few weeks. But I'll be back.
We'll hold it down. It'll be fine.
Yes.
And then you're going to have to come back with a travel story at least. I'm sure one will happen.
I don't even want it.
It better be good.
I don't even want to imagine. I hope it's a funny story.
It's going to be like you took your son to Waffle House and he loved it. And then he tweeted about it. And that would be crazy.
My son will never have an X account.
And that's what we'll talk about next time. As a reminder, all of the referenced articles can be found in our show notes for today's episode. I'm Amanda Stevens.
I'm Hannah Belinsky.
Thanks for joining us on Air Today. Tune in tomorrow for more programs by Radio Taiwan International. And in the meantime, remember to stop scrolling and touch grass. We'll see you next week.
Catch the latest RTI news, programs, previews and more on our website rti.org.tw/en.